Indy. No single word in the motorsports lexicon is more evocative or attention-grabbing. The Indy 500, billed by the track as the greatest spectacle in racing, is of course revered as one of the greatest motorsports events ever. While that didn't begin until 1911, the notion of an infield road course didn't become reality until the turn of the millennium in the year 2000, when such a track hosted the first of 8 U.S. Formula One Grand Prix at the Speedway. After the demise of the U.S. Grand Prix at Indy, that layout still hosted MotoGP and some sports car racing, but in 2013, the decision was made to reprofile the track to improve spectating and make it more compatible with IndyCar. And in 2014, Simo Pagano scored a hugely popular Indy GP win for Sam Schmidt Motorsports, and the new layout and a new era began. Spec Miatas have raced at Indy on the road course as part of the SCCA runoffs in 2017 and in 2021. And tonight, the iconic venue hosts the final round of Season 2 of the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Series. Hi, folks. I'm Greg Creamer, and welcome to the home of the Yard of Bricks. There it is, folks. We are so excited about it. And Kyle Heyer is still in Colorado, where he just called another legendary event, the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. But fortunately, we have Finian DeCuna in the bullpen, once again ready to most ably fill in. Finian, welcome back, my friend. And you know what? Any race at Indy is special, of course, but when it's the season finale, it goes to another level, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Greg, and I'm glad that you have to be back with you for another event after some fantastic racing that I commentated with you back at Summit Point. We're here, and that was at the beginning of the season. Now we're here towards the end, and every man in the field right now is chasing this man right here, Morgan Burkhart, in the number 40 machine, currently third on the time sheets as qualifying is just about halfway underway, and he is leading the point standings by a decent lead and arguably the man to beat this season, so we'll see if he can hold off for just one more round to secure that title.
Yeah, 22 points clear of Benjamin Forrester, or Beans. Forrester, who had a great weekend most recently at the Long Beach Street Circuit, then Nicholas Rice-Puto, Caleb Patry, who was coming off of a real-world mega shunt at the June Sprints down in Turn 5, and then Joshua Soto. And to our delight, and even somewhat to our surprise, Caleb is indeed here running in that recognizable 998 at red and white and black machine. The interesting thing is Morgan Burkhart didn't make the race last week at Long Beach and shows up for the season finale in a vastly different looking Spec Miata. So that's going to keep us on our toes here. But here, there is a look at Nicholas Rice-Puto running the number 4 and also one of the drivers who has been really, really strong as of late. And as we are in our final 6 minutes of qualifying right now, Finian, it is Nicholas Rice-Puto in that number 4 on top of the order. But listen to this, by 9 1/1000ths of a second over Jordan Rickson Greedy. It couldn't be a whole lot closer than that. And then they have another couple of tenths in hand right now over Morgan Burkhart, and the number 40 in third beats Forrester, the number 23 in fourth. And as I say that, Joshua Soto with the number 77 jumps up to fourth, gets kicked back to that third spot right now. There's Josh Soto, and putting in some serious runs here. You know, the one thing about this track, a lot of times people look at it, well, it's Indy, right? And that infield, that means it's just bone flat. And it doesn't have much in terms of elevation at all. But as Tom O'Gorman would say, it's got texture. And some of it is when you go up onto the banking briefly over in, as you take that big run out of turn 10, you climb up onto that banking a little bit. Then it sort of starts to flatten out, but there's still a little banking because you're in the chute between 1 and 2, and then you drop off that banking down into 12, and 12, 13, really tricky but important complex of corners. And you've also got some of these long, never-ending turns like 3 and 4 that you have to get right. This place, even though you look at it at first and you go, is this really a really cool track? It is. It presents some really cool challenges. And there's a couple of what I call the commitment meters where you've got to be willing to take certain lines through here that put you just like that up against that wall. And Jordan pounding the curbs, Finian. You can use the curbs here, but you get a little bit too aggressive, it can really unsettle the car.
Yeah, well, you really, when it comes to a lot of really aggressive curbing, a lot of times you have to respect the curbing, otherwise it'll make you respect it, because otherwise it'll throw you up into the wall or offline. And in qualifying here, it's very important to make sure you get, every 10th is going to count here, every 100th of a second is going to count. As Rick Segrini comes across the line, he actually was looking just about a 10th up on the finals, heading into the final sector, and it looks like the lap is not going to be good enough, so he's going to reset quickly here, and I think a lot of drivers are going to reset because we're about to get a final charge to the line, I guess, here with just about 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, absolutely, and we just saw that 5-6 chicane, and it's so crucial to get through there well, and it all starts with the exit of 4, and it's so important because that gives you the run down what is on the infield when it's not a racetrack. It's Pullman Boulevard that sort of runs inside and around part of the Brickyard Crossing golf course. 4 of the 9 holes, the 18 holes obviously are inside the infield. Here is turn 10, and now you've got to go all the way onto that exit curve there because that's the only way you really flow speed up now through turn 11. You just get to that apex, and here's where you climb, and you get up on that banking so you've got a little bit of grip. But then as you turn into 12 here, you sort of come down. It's not a lot of banking, but it's just enough for it to go off camber and pitch you to the left there a little bit. And this turn, if you go all the way to the out like that, that is really going to rob you of speed. You don't want to track all the way out there. You want to be maybe mid-track so that you can get to throttle and really just build speed all the way through 14 and back onto the front straight.
And across the line for the 23. Not the fastest lap. I think, if anything, he was just getting warmed up for the real attempt now as he comes across the line in the 23 machine. So he'll be on a flying lap. And Morgan Burkhart, the man, he's literally chasing in the points, is physically right ahead of him, and he's chasing him on the track, trying to beat his qualifying time. Burkhart currently in 3rd, Forster in 5th. Everyone's again chasing Rasputo up at the top. And it looks like Burkhart, he's got purple almost in the first sector, but might have gotten off track there. That was close.
A little bit. And here's that 5-6. That's what I was talking about. You got to get through 4 right, or you're going to be a little bit slow through 5 and 6 and onto this back straight. I really like that we're running the tighter turn 7 here. Makes a much better overtaking area. And Morgan now down deep onto the brakes. Flick it through here. You can see the more flowing line behind there. And then now through 8, 9, and looks really solid there with Beans right behind him here. And here's turn 10. Man, you got to let it flow. Huge speed through here because that run from 10 all the way to 12 up onto the banking, it's just flat cat. For these cars, it'll be almost like a bending flat-out straight section of track. And then, with a brush of the wall as he turns in. That tells you how much track Morgan is using here and trying to keep an eye on what he is doing in terms of sector times here, but he really pushing the envelope, no question of that.
Yeah, pushing the envelope, I think gave up a little bit too much at one point, but again, still has time. He's really only got just about enough time for maybe one more lap. So he's going to come across the line, trying to look at Jordan Rixagrini. He's looking pretty good, looking like he might actually have a chance at pole. He's just about 2 tenths up, 3 tenths up on his lap on Rasputo. So if he can nail these last few corners, he's actually got Rasputo up ahead of him. He can get some slipstream and potentially get pole here.
Yeah, using him sort of as a carrot and a reference point. And here we go. This is that bend through 14. And you're right. He might be able to get just a little bit of a pull here. And, even if you get a 10th or 2, as close as things are here, that would be huge at this stage. And everybody just staying tight to the line. Does he do it? No. He does. Rips agree. And that was all that toe, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say he was just about on the bubble. He was kind of bouncing back and forth between under and over it, and I think really getting a solid run out of 13 through 14, that's what enabled him to get it. So solid job there, Rasputo. He's not going to have enough time to really get back around, so he's done. As we click down, the time goes down. I'm actually not sure we might see these guys actually disappear here. I don't think, because I think they have a certain amount of laps to complete. Indeed, they do.
There
so qualifying,
yep,
just like that, it's over.
And Rick Segrini on the pole, Nicholas Rasputo in second. Your points leader, Morgan Burkhardt, in third, Josh Soto in fourth, but Beans Forster back in fifth. That's not where he wanted to be. When you think about what he's trying to do here and get a shot at Morgan Burkhardt, and then to end up a couple of spots behind him. But this is one of the few times, Finian, that we've seen Morgan not on the pole. He's in the back of the front row, sitting in that second row, and things can happen. And you never wish ill on anybody, but for some of the drivers behind him, they're kind of looking at it going, man, if somebody can sort of block him and everything, and we can get a few guys in front, that can change the whole outcome of this. So looking forward to that, seeing how it plays out. Just a shout out here, the number 5 of Ethan Oring. I think this is his first start with us this year, qualifying a nice job back in 8th. Trace Hant, Caleb Pocock, nice to have him back. Cord Schmidt, who, of course, is the founder of Full Send Sims, and that's kind of a nice little bit of a transition for us to say a huge thank you for this season finale event in particular to Full Send Sims. And, of course, Cord Schmidt, extensive background in military simulation and also a real-world racing driver, decided to combine those two, started Full Send Sims, custom turnkey racing simulators with real-world racing and simulation training in mind, doing an absolutely fabulous job. And obviously, practice makes podium. That's what they say, and we know that worked. Also, I want to say a big shout-out to 3P Logistics, one of our 2 wonderful presenting sponsors. They do race car storage, maintenance, repair, transportation, and tailored trackside support. And Final Turn Motorsports, they do full-service prep shop trackside support. They're a Miata cranny builder. They do dyno tuning as well. So we've got some great partners in this championship, and so lucky to have them with us here to be sure. And this is it. This is our season finale, 2 races here. So by the end of the night, we're going to have a champion. And, of course, the top 3 in the points will all get a nice trophy. And then we're going to be giving away some hardware as well. Looks like we're getting ready to start off on the pace lap.
Indeed. Let's go through your starting lineup. Starting on pole, like you mentioned, the 108 to Jordan McScrooney stole it away from Nicholas Rice-Puto in the number 4. So he's going to be set back just one starting spot, but still going to be sharing that front row.
Absolutely. Then Morgan Burkhardt will be starting in third in that newly delivered number 40, the white and black machine with the blue highlights, and the 77 of Josh Soto. He has been on form this season.
Moving on back in behind them, 5th place Beans Forrester in the number 23, chasing Morgan Burkhardt in the points. Can he finish? Can he deliver? We'll find out in just a few moments' time. Caleb Patry right next to him in 6th place in the 998.
Yeah, Patrick, just delightful that he's here. He had we talked about it, a big hit. Let's take a look. 7th will be the number 32 of Skip Brock Jr., who continues to be very quick. And then our newbie, Ethan Oring, there in the number 5. That's that red car with the black and white on it as well. So nice job for him.
Moving on back, Trace Hance in the 53. He's going to be starting off in 9th place and rounding out your top 10. Caleb Pocock in the number 6 machine.
Absolutely great livery on that car. Let's take a look. In the 11th spot, it is the 172 of the Full Send Sims machine of Cord Schmidt, joined by the number 89 of Jim Friedhofer.
Moving on back to number in P13, it's going to be Max Bankin in the 00 machine. Rowan Gill next to him is not gridded, so that'll take us to our final row.
Yeah, interesting. It's unfortunate because Rowan, we would sure love to have him in it. He's so quick, as always. Starting in the 15th spot, the number 12 from Jason Oliveras. And in the 16th spot, number 11, Stephen Caterze. So nice to have those 2 guys with us, I think, new to the championship as well. So love to see it here, the season finale. Everybody, I think some of these new drivers are doing this because they're looking at Season 3. And we've got some news about Season 3 that'll be coming up. So we'll be sharing that with you during the break here. But fielding down into that ultra-critical turn number 11, 12, 13 complex that we were talking about, and just working their way through to get ready for the start.
The pace car is off, and away they go. First of 2 races for tonight. Greg, I'll let you take it away.
All right, this first turn, long way down at the other end of the speedway. Really a tight 90-degree. We've seen chaos there in other forms of racing. Let's see how these guys handle it. Starter's got the flag up. We're green. 2 races to go in this championship, and a nice start by Jordan Ricksagrini. But look now, the number 4, Bryce Pudo, starting to feel some speed. But Morgan Burkhardt giving Rick Singrini a little bit of a push as they head down into turn 1. The field fanning out. Caleb Patry going right out to the wall. Soto took a peek for just a minute. And it's Rick Singrini leading in. And even with that little bit of a push from Burkhardt, there's our first little tap. It looked like Soto and the number 998 of Caleb Patry. They both straightened out. Hopefully that won't have hurt them.
Yeah, it doesn't look like you hurt him too bad. It was relatively low-speed impact compared to the way the other cars are running. Some damage to the right side of the car should be okay, but despite that, everyone else makes through the first couple of corners, and what that did do is enable a breakaway. The top 4, you can see Rick Singrini, Pudo, Burkhardt, and Forster all broken away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, you think about it for Beans, Forster there, he had qualified back in the 5th spot, and now he's right on the back of the guys chasing in the points, Morgan Burkhardt. So he was able to take advantage of that get-together there. And now the key is he's got to stay in position. There you see the 77 of Soto working its way through. And Patry up in front, as you noted, just that little bit of a ding on it. And then Ethan Oren continuing to stay right up in that pack that he's running in front of Hant and then Cord Schmidt behind. Look at that, Soto sending it around the outside. Had a great run, but unfortunately for him, Skip Brock was right there. Couldn't do much with it. Patry pounding the curb. Brock diving down the inside. Soto, but look at Oring diving down to the inside. The newbie having absolutely no qualms about just getting after it with the regulars here. And a great move. And boy, Josh Soto was the one who lost in that exchange, didn't he?
Oh, he absolutely did. You can see the number 5 got a great run through turn 13, and then actually heading to turn 13 right there. Made a bump and going to send the 77 off the track. So Soto got bullied out of it, and Orling up into 8th, 7th now, actually was up into 7th, is now fighting with the 53 as he's trying to make a move down to turn 1, some more contact between them.
Oh, man, nice move there by Trace Hance. As he's trying to get back in the mix here as well. And I kind of think what happened there was when that little bit of contact, it looked like Soto was thinking about a dive down to the inside of 13, then checked up and opened the wheel up a little bit. And Oring said, well, if he's not, I'm going to give it a go. And down he went. But now Beans Forrester kind of getting straight lined here.
And something happened
here. He had
here.
a little problem. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering, he was right up there in 4th and behind the leaders, and caught some grass on entry.
Yep. That was it. You get those tires off into the grass, and obviously the grip just absolutely disappears. And now he's lost some serious ground. He's got work to do, having dropped from 4th down to 6th.
Whoa, almost caught the grass again as we right on board with him on the exit. And that's the tricky thing, right? The curbs are so inviting for the most part, all the flat curbing, and you want to go out and use up all of it as much as possible, but then you find that grass there, and especially in a car like this, when you have all the load on one side of the car, you could easily lose it, as we saw the 23 did earlier in the lap. But he did a fantastic job saving it and keeping it from spinning out.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he lost a couple of spots, but it could have been far worse. The problem is that now he's in that queue that's 5 seconds adrift of this lead trio, and Burkhardt taking a look down the inside of Rice Pudo, under braking down into turn 1. See if he's going to be able to make that stick here. Rick Singrini just enough, and looks like Burkhardt's got enough of a nose ahead that Rice Pudo really didn't have an option and just had to open the wheel up and lift a little early, tuck in behind him, and try and minimize any time loss. But Burkhardt flying some new colors here, but as always being really, really quick. Boy, he's already glommed onto the back of Rick Singrini here through this really crucial 5, turn 6, and now this long run. And he's in a spot that if he can get that just enough of a toe, watch for him to pop over to the other side here. Instead, he decides to give a little bit of a tap. And I think at this point, he's thinking, I'm going to give Rick Singrini a push and see if we can't draw away a bit from Bryce Pudo. But Bryce Pudo playing that draft nicely as well.
Yeah, I'm curious from Morgan what's the game plan here, because his main rivals just got knocked down a couple spots. Actually, as I say that, he just made up one spot, making a move on the 53, heading into turn 7. We'll take a quick look at that. Oh, actually, didn't quite make the move he would have liked. It was actually involved the 32 of Skip Brock in the yellow car you're going to see in the middle of your screen. Ooh, I think actually there was a tap from behind.
Ooh, just man grazed the bumper, didn't he? Yeah. Let's not forget that Nicholas Rice-Puto was up in this third in the points and is only 11 behind Ben Forster as well, behind Bean. So he's not out of this, nor is Caleb Patry at this point. So everybody's, thinking big picture, but going hard right now. And now let's see. I think you brought up a good point about Burkhardt. Does he want to lead or does he just want to work with Rickson Greeny here and try and break Rice-Puto a little bit and just have it be a mano duel? It certainly looks like he's been in a position a couple of times already, Finian, where if Morgan had wanted, he could have dove down to the inside, either in 1 here or over in 7, and opted to instead just tuck in behind Rick Sagrini, give him a little push.
Yeah, the thing is, oh man, these guys are tracking out hard on that side. I'm worried about one of them spinning out again, like we saw earlier in the race. But yeah, I'm just curious how much he's going to want to push, because I really don't think, even if he does try to get up on the bumper of Rick Sagrini and push him, there's no way they're going to be able to break from the 4. And actually, speaking of which, is Rice-Puto, it's going to be a 3-man tandem. It looks like it's going to be.
And the question is Rice-Puto, he almost got a double toe there. I was wondering whether he'd say, all right, I'm just going to come knifing up the inside. But, they always have that in their head. Well, we got the guys behind us. How much do we want to race and let them get maybe back into it? But, they're up by almost 6 seconds right now over Caleb Patry. He's a little bit clear now of Forster. He's been able to get around both Brock and Hans. And Forster now up into the top 5. And Beams would love to hook up with Patry here and just sort of what the guys are doing up front here, see if they can run together. Oh, a monster off. That looks like the number 8 of Oring. See what happened here.
Yeah, this is not going to be a pretty accident here.
Yep. Oh, he just is way too hot.
I was going to say,
wow.
And this is very ironic because we were just talking about Caleb Patry's real-life accident, and that looked eerily similar to that.
Yeah, it sure did. And you almost wonder if for Oring, if maybe his foot slipped off the brake going in, that happens with these sims, or he missed the shift, something like that. And maybe he was just had his eye in his mirror watching Court as well, and just missed his braking point. I mean, it's all speculation here, but man, that was a big one.
Yeah, unfortunately, the 5 looked like he was having a pretty decent showing, and he's going to be out of at least race number 1.
Yeah, he was right up into that top 10, up into 8th, right where he qualified, and was hanging right in there, doing a nice job with that off. Now, Caleb Pocock, nice to have him back. We missed in the last race, up into the 8th spot. And Soto, I think that little bit of damage, there is something a little off with Soto's car here, because he's suddenly just sort of dropping down the order a little bit. His times are well off where they should be at this stage.
Yeah, he's running about a second off the lead as he comes falling on through. He's got a decent amount of damage in the rear, possibly to the right rear suspension, I think. But, you can actually see the wheel just a little bit off center.
Yep. So something got knocked in the...
Oh, you can see him struggling.
Yeah. That's almost like a rally turn, wasn't it? The old Scandinavian flick. Trying to get it through that corner here. And that's one of the things, when you get the toe knocked out, you turn one way and the car is really good, and then you turn the other way and the car is diabolically evil sometimes. So he's going to have to deal with just driving around that. But up front, that margin continues to be incredibly close. And Beans now in that black and red number 23 has caught Patry, and now we'll see if the two of them just decide to set sail and try and close that gap up. But it's a big one. They got to come up with 6 seconds here in 15 minutes. Bean says, there we go. I got you, buddy. Let's get on in here and close that margin down.
Yeah, it's some good old-fashioned bum drafting. It's like a NASCAR race, seeing them bum draft off into turn number 1, trying to make up as much time as possible. But time is running out. Got just over 15 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, you know what? I've been really impressed with what I've been seeing here, particularly the latter half of the season here by Jordan Rickson Greeny. He has really found another gear, pardon the pun, and has upped his performance here. Ran a little wide there in that crucial turn 4, and that allowed Burkhardt right back onto him. But, I mean, at that point, Rickson Greeny had actually opened up just a little bit of margin over Burkhardt. Rick Sagrini has really come good here and is just flying. And he said, we interviewed him last week, and he said, just driving this a lot more, just getting much more comfortable with all these laps that I'm getting, and it's showing, isn't it?
Really is showing. He's been completely unfazed by the number 40 of Morgan Burkhardt all over his rear bumper, and I think he feels complacent. I think he knows Morgan's probably not going to make a move now and probably wait towards near the end of the race. But if I'm Morgan, if anything, it might be better to make a move now while he's kind of unaware, not expecting a move.
Yeah, but I continue to think here, Finian, that knowing that Rice Pudo is third in the points and that Beans is back a couple more spots, that Burkhardt, I really think his thought process is, with the speed he's seeing out of Rick Sagrini, is let's see if we can break Rice Pudo. If we can get far enough up the road where he's not going to get that toe and be able to join us again, then it can be down to those two guys. And unfortunately for Jordan, he's back in 7th at this stage in the points, so he's not a factor for the championship. And so I think, Morgan Burkhardt, those gears are always turning in that brain of his. In terms of strategizing, how do we play this out? Wow, big curb hop there by Rice Pudo into 1.
Yeah, these guys have been pretty aggressive with the curbs, taking as much as possible.
That's going to be interesting, because you saw Morgan had an opportunity to just stuff it up the inside and 4, and again elected not to. And I think he recognized there, had he done that, it would have really parked both of those guys. And he looked at it, but then went, that's not the thing to do. And that would have really allowed Rice Pudo an opportunity to pounce here down this long Holman Boulevard back straight. You can see Morgan closing up noticeably there, but then just checks up a little bit. Again, trying to try and break here, I think, away from Rice Pudo. But Nicholas right now doing a brilliant job. I mean, he qualified right up on that front row, so he knows he has speed.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I think Morgan, he was going to try to see if he can get past before the chicane, because you definitely do not want to go side by side through that chicane. It is very much a one line through there, so it's not, if you want to make a pass in turn 4, you want to complete it by the exit of turn 4, and nothing less than that, as Burkhardt continues to hound the back of Rick Sagrini. Rice Pudo waiting patiently in behind, and then this battle, you see Cale Patry absolutely annihilate the curb, trying to see if he can break anything away from the 23 Beans Forster, as Forster's advance kind of stalled a little bit, I think, because they're both, at this stage at least, continuing to work together. But as the minutes wind down, I'm sure the 23 is going to try to make a move on Patry.
No, you can believe it. He's going to do whatever he can here. And I would suspect right here, though, we're going to watch him just do the old draw up to the bumper, give him a tap, give him a push down there in the background. You can see here he comes. Boom, there it is. Give him that little tap here. Brock Hance are in their own. Brock Hance, Pocock having a really good battle behind them. There you see them. They're all over each other at certain points. Then Brock makes a little bit of a break. Then Hance and Pocock draw right back in on him. Woo! Pocock running a little bit wide there at the exit of 1. That cost him probably 3-4 car lengths in the end.
Yeah, and I think that was just maybe a little bit too much speed than what he was probably expecting, especially when you're in that slipstream through 1 and 2. You really have to bleed off the speed, otherwise you're going to go wide on the exit of turn 1. So things just carried a little bit too much through there, so lost a lot of the time he made up on the 53 of Trace Hance, who's in the middle of this little 3-car battle sandwich for 6th place.
Yeah, and looking at Skip, I mean, he's looking at maybe trying to make a little break here. We've seen Skip in races this year actually be able to run down the guys in front of him. It's not easy to do, but we've seen him pull that off a couple of times. And man, he's got a bit of a margin right now. He's about 4 seconds adrift of the Patry Forster battle for 4th. And it's all going to come down to what kind of lap times is he running. And he's running pretty competitive ones to those guys at this stage. But, you need to be running significantly quicker if you're going to try and run them down here. So here we go. That really tricky. It's a lot tighter than it looks. And as I said, when you turn off of that banking in turn 12, it feels like it goes off camber a little bit. And then through 13, and now this run through 14. And for these guys, that's one of the things about this track. For these cars, a lot of these corners here, you're just pretty much flat out. Look at this. Burkhardt now at 10 minutes left decides it's time, dives down the inside of Rick Sagrini. Rick Sagrini was thinking about trying to stay put around the outside, but Morgan just had a little bit too much speed and had the angle on him. And Morgan is through. Now we're going to see what Morgan is going to be able to do. Is he going to draw away? Runs a little wide there, keeps it under control. And the problem is like I said, this 5-6 complex onto this back straight is absolutely flat in these cars. So that turn 4, if you're side by side for any reason in turn 4, you're a sitting duck down into 7 because you're just going to get out of that turn slowly. So Rick Segrini, you can see, turns in just a little bit earlier than Morgan from those angles, but is not given any opportunity for Morgan, at least at this stage, to draw away. Great shot here, isn't it? Looking back up through that 8, 9, and now through 10 complex and heading into that treacherous turn 11, 12.
Yeah, I just can't help but feel I really don't think Burkhardt's going to be able to break away from Rick Segrini or Ray Sputo unless they have some sort of incident where there's a gap of over a second, because otherwise I think Rick Segrini's just going to chase him back down. Now, the thing is, I'm curious to see what the 108 is going to do now coming onto the front straightaway. Is he going to try to break past Burkhardt, or is he just going to do what Burkhardt's been doing, just kind of ride that bumper for another couple minutes?
Yeah, I think that's, you bring up a really good point, because obviously, Burkhardt's sitting behind him, probably wasn't stressing his tires as much. Rick Segrini, though, got that toe. I think he realizes too many times, right? All of these competitors have seen Morgan Burkhardt just drive away when he's in front. So I think Rick Segrini is going, our best battle to keep this in a potential scenario where we can go after it is going to be to have behind us. And Jordan attacking the curves, but knowing really tough to make much of a counterpunch move at the exit of 1 into 2. And once you're here, like I said, I just don't think you're going to see Burkhardt try anything in 4, because he knows how crucial it is to get through here. This is 5 and then 6, using that curve a lot and getting a run. Now, the question is, does Morgan have enough of the toe to look to the inside in 7? And it looks like Rick Segrini was covering that a little bit, didn't it?
It looks like it. I imagine he's a little bit concerned, because now it looks like Burkhardt's starting to step up his game and be a little bit more aggressive. I think he can't afford to just expect that 40 to be sitting in behind him. And then also,
right.
I think but both of these guys are probably forgetting about a little bit, being too involved with the battle amongst themselves. This number 4 of Nicholas Rice-Sputo. What's he got planned? Because he hasn't really made a whole lot of moves. He's been kind of riding around in this top 3. I don't think he's changed his position. He dropped from 2nd to 3rd on lap 1, and nothing's changed since then.
Yeah, I think he's been scouting his competition, hasn't he? Just took a peek there. And that, that's what you do every once in a while. You watch where am I good relative to the guys in front of me who might be struggling somewhere. And I'll tell you what, that line right there, though, by Burkhardt is golden. You have to look in your mirror and know I've got a little bit of room, but you see how much he squared turn 13, and look at the run he got as a result. And he's going to come up the inside. And one of the things that I've seen with Burkhardt is every once in a while he'll go to the lead, and then if the other guy comes back, he doesn't worry about it, because you notice he goes to the lead as he makes the pass here. But look at Rick Segrini absolutely fighting him tooth and nail here, but the position, he's just got to let him go. And he doesn't want to stay out too wide because Rice-Sputo will come through. But we've seen Burkhardt, 10 minutes to go to the lead for a lap, and then if the other guy goes by, he's fine with that because what he did there was probe. Can I make this pass work? And so I think that all 3 of these guys right now, Finian, they're playing chess.
It's funny you said that. I was just thinking that in my mind. I was just about to say that. It's kind of funny. These guys are essentially playing a 100-mile-an-hour game of chess, trying to line up, see, where do I want to be come the final lap? Because that's when we're really going to start to see a lot of these final moves being made. And again, especially, I'm really interested in seeing what the 4 Rice-Sputo has got to throw into the mix, because all we've seen so far is just Burkhardt and Rick Segrini exchange positions lap after lap. Like, we're probably going to see the 108 now. Rick Segrini's probably going to blow by Burkhardt on the front straight away, but when does Rice-Sputo finally stop giving to these drivers? When does he start to push?
Well, that's a good point, and this track is known to be a little bit difficult on tires, and Rice-Sputo is the one guy who's all he's been doing is just driving the most open, elegant lines, right? So he may have a little bit more tire underneath him right now. Ooh, you see Burkhardt missing that apex in 12 a little bit, pushing really, really hard, and that didn't allow him to get that big swing out. And look at Rick Segrini now glomming onto the back end before they even got out of 14. Great run by Rixigrini. Looking to the inside, Burkhardt went really low to protect. And Rixigrini still said, nope, I got enough room. I'm going through. And they are side by side across the yard of bricks. That's an important thing, too. Where do you end up coming out of 14 when you cross that yard of bricks in the finish line? So this could be a little bit more probing. And now look, for the first time, we've seen Rice Pudo for a second say,
oh there he goes.
Got it way hot. Burkhardt overshot that corner. And Rice Pudo for an instant thought about it. But that may be the little bit of a break here that Rixigrini wanted.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'll start with Burkhardt just getting a slightly poor run out of turn 13. And you can see right there, he's been running out wide quite a bit in some corners. That's been costing him a run. Speaking of which, here comes the 4 of Rice Pudo. He's starting to look a lot more racy. There he is, finally making a move. Going to look to the inside of, or the left-hand side, I should say, of Burkhardt heading into turn 7.
Yep, he's there. And this is exactly what Rixigrini wants to see, is to have Rice Pudo. And look at Morgan. How smart is that? You realize if I fight him through 7, we're going to be crawling out of turn 8. He just lifted, led him through, squared up, got on the throttle early. And so they are staying in touch. But I think here, I was talking a little bit about how this track can be a little bit difficult on tires. And I think Rice Pudo might have, of all 3 of these guys, the best set of tires on that car right now, because he's just been driving really smooth arcs, hasn't jumped down the inside and tried hard braking and the like. And look at this. I think Rixigrini watched Burkhardt and said, ooh, that big open arc really gets him out of there well. And look at the gap. He just got a jump there, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. Got a great run out of that corner. 0.6 of a second. The gap between Rixigrini and Rice Pudo, and there you can see there's actually a lap car just up the road. Could potentially be a factor depending on how quick they catch back up. Now you see Rice Pudo now swerving to the right-hand side of the track. He's going to go defensive, let Burkhardt take the outside lane. Interesting, because usually we see a lot of times drivers do the opposite. Will it work this time, though? And Rixigrini loving this.
He is, because, oh, and then right there, Rice Pudo just overshoots a little bit, which slows down his exit at 1. That's going to bring Burkhardt along the outside. But now, we talked about it. If you're side-by-side through 4, you're just slow, and immediately Burkhardt tucks back in underneath, tries to get up the inside of Rice Pudo. Rice Pudo, though, has it. Now Burkhardt has the inside. Rice Pudo floats way wide, and I'm not sure what the track limits are there. Normally, they kind of let them have their head, but look what that's done for Rixigrini. He's almost now a second up the road just because of those 2 guys battling. And Rixigrini turns in now. He's just got to hit his marks, because we're going to get the white flag next time through. And it's going to be fascinating to see. And if my theory is right, and Lord knows it could very well not be, but if Rice Pudo's got the tires on that car and attacks on Burkhardt, man, Rixigrini is going to be loving that.
Yeah, I think so, and he's definitely going to try to enjoy this lead as much as possible here and stretch it out as much as possible, because he might have a chance of not even being under attack here on the straightaway. You see Burkhardt charging really hard through the final few corners, trying to make up as much ground as possible. It cuts really tight there on the apex of turn 13, almost a penalty, I would argue, but I think he's good for the moment. Doesn't look like he's slowing down, and here they come now across the line, white flag in the air.
Yeah, white flag, and look at Rixigrini knowing that Burkhardt always seems to have a little something. And I think Burkhardt, when he did that big arc through 13, but he squared it up and even opened that arc up a little bit using that big chunk of curb. And here he comes. He's looking, but it's not enough. Rixigrini is going to lead down into 1, and if he can get the run through here now and watch for Rice Pudo, he's coming. And look at this, Forrester now in the battle for 4th, and those points coming after Caleb Patry. Runs a little bit deep, Beans does. Back up to this front battle. And no question, Burkhardt is real Rixigrini right in. And what Rixigrini really needs right now, he needs Rice Pudo to get involved in this once again. And you can see Rixigrini protecting the inside. How far back will Morgan think he can make a pass from? Does he Oh, I thought he might just go right to the apex, but he wasn't close enough, Indian.
Oh, but he got a fantastic exit out of turn 7. Here they go now through turns 8 and 9. He is all over the bumper, Rickson Greeny, but you could argue the two best passing zones have already passed away. And it gets a little bit tight out of that corner, and here comes Race Puto now back.
Yeah, and Rickson Greeny through turn 9, man, that was an excellent turn-in and tracking out through turn 10. And it gave him 2-3 car lengths. Man, did he need that. And remember now, both of these guys have sort of tested each other about getting out of 14 and getting to that yard of bricks. Right there, Rickson Greeny protected a little bit. He didn't swing out as far as he normally might, thinking that Burkhardt was going to just stick the nose down the inside. And Burkhardt did not quite get the run he wanted. But here we go. He's got the toe, and that yard of bricks is down there a while. Does he hang on? Does Rickson Greeny get the win? He does! What a run by Jordan Rickson Greeny, beating the point leader Morgan Burkhardt. And Patry is going to hang on to 4th with Forster in 5th. And Beans will be really happy with Rickson Greeny, at least taking a few points away from Burkhardt here. But what a run these guys had. And now coming to the line, Brock and Hans coming through, and Brock will get that 6th spot. And I think for those two guys in particular, Finian, they're going to be a little frustrated because both Brock and Hans at the end of the race were running laps exactly identical pretty much to Patry and to Beans Forrester. So they could have been in that easily had they not had that break.
Yeah, real quick here at your race results for race number 1, Rickson Greeny, Burkhardt, Race Puto, your top 3. And boy, did those guys put on a show.
Oh, man. Absolutely. And again, just watching them play chess, seeing them, all right, we're going to, take a look here. We're going to look there, see what we can do. And then, Beans was really doing this thing with Caleb, and Caleb covered him just enough. Brock and Hans had their own great little scrap. So everywhere we were looking, there was some really good racing going on. That's just what makes this so exciting. Even if you're not going for the win, you're still obviously at some point going to find yourself in an absolutely superb scrap.
Yeah, looking a little bit further back, obviously we saw Caleb Patry beat Beans Forrester. Surprised you didn't see Forrester get a little bit more aggressive on that final lap, trying to see if he can get those points, because didn't want to make an error and take out Patry, especially after Patry already got a few dings early on in the race. Brock, Hans,
exactly.
Pocox, Soto, and Freidhofer are going to round out your top 10. We'll take a quick look at the last page of results. Court Schmidt, Stefan Catarance?
Cantarze, I think.
Cantarze, thank you. Jason Oliveris, Max Bankin, and Ethan Orrig. And actually, speaking about Orrig, apparently his foot slipped going into turn 7. That's why you saw him go straight on and have a massive wreck.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering about that. It just looked like, it didn't seem like a throttle stick. It just looked like something happened, and it makes sense that his foot slipped there. So, wow, it's going to be interesting here. Hey, let's take a look. We had the downtown Indy, and again, the Speedway. Actually, it's Speedway, Indiana, but close enough. Let's talk about a few things here. First of all, want to remind everybody that we're looking at doing something a little different for our Season 2 award presentations this year. And what we're going to do is next Monday night, at our regular showtime start, 7 p.m., we're going to have a virtual mini award show. It'll be broadcast. It'll be done via Zoom, but it will be broadcast out. All our award winners, in terms of the trophies, in terms of the hardware, will actually get a special presentation. Those that are getting specialty awards will be awarded as well. And what we might even do is, because the Season 1 award winners and hardware winners, we're going to invite them as well, because we didn't really give them much of a presentation, so we're going to acknowledge them. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be like a little awards banquet.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely, I think a lot of these drivers definitely earned it after all the hard, aggressive racing they've done throughout the season, and especially in their only just the 2 races that I've covered. Some fantastic stuff. These guys definitely know how to entertain here. As we got just a little bit of a warm-up period here before the final race of the season gets underway here. And also, Greg, too, there was some stuff we wanted to talk about Fulson Sims and their truck.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely phenomenal. Full Send Sims has a mobile sim unit, and it's available for rental in Florida for any type of event. And here you can see some of the images. Upper right corner is the actual outside of the unit. Inside, you see the sims on the lower right. There are 2 sims side by side. They're connected, so you can bring a coach in and have your coach race you and lead. Do lead follows. Your coach can actually stand behind you with a headset on, look over your shoulder, coach you that way. And you look at some of these sims here, and there's also on the other side, he can turn around and see all your data. So it's really amazing.
Wow.
So if you're looking for coaching, it's absolutely awesome. But it's also perfect for small gatherings, parties, events, or even personal use. It's available for single-day rentals up to 8 hours in the Central Florida area. Further distances and longer duration rentals are available at special rates. And here's the deal. Rental includes full setup of the air-conditioned sim trailer. So you're not sitting in a hot trailer there. It's got full AC, unlimited use of both high-end simulators using iRacing. Top 10 lap time leaderboards can be displayed, live external video. If you've got, if you're doing a party thing, you can have people outside watching what's unfolding inside in terms of the racing. So pretty cool deal. And, last week we talked that they just released their new sim rig model called the Pro Ultimate Rig. And it is a triple screen setup, wraparound monitors, really special stuff. So if you're interested in any of that, just check out fullsendsims.com, fullsendsims.com, or call them at 407-900-3795. That's 407-900-3795. And I also want to just mention that, we're looking to expand this series, obviously. So we'd like to remind folks to email iRacing at fullsendsims.com if they're interested maybe in sponsoring next season, becoming a part of our presenting sponsors. That season will start August 14th. We're going to add 2 more race nights, so it'll be 10 weeks, not 8. And that means 20% more visibility and promotion to any sponsors that want to get involved. And, we can certainly send you out a sponsorship package for your review, but here's some quick things to think about. Your company logo will receive prime graphic positioning during the broadcast, and you'll receive multiple audio mentions per show. But here's the kicker. This is what's cool. Your company logos will also be displayed on site wherever that Full Send Sims mobile sim unit travels to, and that provides value-added exposure during corporate and private events, and of course many racing events. So you get that little extra bit of exposure. You also will get to choose a special award to be handed out each season, I should say, on behalf of your business's name. And your sponsorship will not only allow this great series to continue and grow, but will allow for value-added promotion of your business within the many other aspects of the sim world in which Full Send Sims is involved. So, absolutely huge opportunity here, and you can join 3P Logistics and Final Turn Motorsports as some presenting sponsors. So, some wonderful opportunities out there, and we certainly hope some people take advantage of that. I'm going to wait until the end of the racing tonight. We'll wrap up with a chat about what's coming for season 3. But I just wanted to make sure everybody understood about that virtual mini awards banquet next Monday night. So if you still think you're in a shot for an award, and I do understand here, Finian, based on the rule that in a calendar year you can't repeat as a hardware winner, that we're going to be presenting some hardware outside of the top 3. So keep that in mind, everybody who's close in that championship, but maybe not quite where they want to be. Don't lose hope. You could still end up getting some great hardware.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's always the awesome thing is, to give a chance to give a lot of the other drivers that, may not be able to beat the guys that are, always near the top of the standings. They still have a solid shot at some prizes, and there are very, very nice prizes from what I've seen. So
yes,
it's definitely a very great opportunity, and a special thanks to Full Send Sims for putting this together, because it's been some fantastic racing and get some guys some great stuff to work with.
Oh, absolutely. And, you mentioned, the folks that maybe are just outside of that top 5 in terms of pace. Well, Full Send Sims, even in the off season, you can still contact fullsendsims.com and set up some one-on-one instructions with guys like Morgan Burkhardt and Beans Forster. There's some absolutely great coaches, Conrad Chachik as well. They can do one-on-one training sessions with you to help you through some little issues you might be having, help you find that extra half a second that takes you to that next group to be able to race with. And certainly I know they're going to be doing more of their Full Send Sims racing schools. For all of the league members, it's absolutely free if they hold one of the schools. Usually they'll do it with a track that's coming up on the schedule, so you can get a little bit of advanced knowledge there. And if you're just struggling a little bit with having maybe too many virtual fenders to bang out at the end of races, it's a great opportunity for you. But for us, it's time to wrap this season up. Finian, this is our last race of this second season, and based on what we just saw, this should be spectacular.
Oh, it definitely should be. As you see, your starting lineup on the left-hand side, Rick Greeny, after taking the win in race number 1, will be leading the field down. Burkhart, Rice Puto, your top 3. Caleb Patry also, I think we should definitely talk about him, because obviously we didn't really get a chance to see what he's got. We know that he's usually quick week in, week out, and he can even throw in the 23 Beans Forster, because they got put back after the start, the little incident we had at the start, heading from turns 1 to 2, with Patry getting sent sideways. That separated out the field quite a bit, so never got to see a whole lot of others have a shot at the leaders. But now with everyone grouped back together again, have a chance to see if anyone else can take it to Rick Greeny and Burkhart.
Yeah, I think so. And another guy that's going to be fascinating to watch is the 77 of Joshua Soto. So quick, but mired back there in that start order right now, back in ninth. There he is. He's got great speed. And he's a little bit out of place there, I think. So he's going to be charging aggressively right from the off. And Ethan Oring, up until that wreck, I mean, his first time in the championship in that number 5, was doing a really nice job. So, he gets an opportunity for a little redemption here and see what he's going to be able to do. But, of course, all eyes on that championship battle in terms of those points. Morgan opened it up a little bit over Beans. And unfortunately for, and Nicholas Rice Pudo right in the mix, but ended up behind Morgan there as well. So this is it. It's championship deciding time. Certainly everything tilts right now toward Morgan Burkhart. But, one problem here in the race, you never know, do you, Finian? And they're coming up for the green soon.
You never know, really, until the checkered flag comes out, what's going to happen. So we're going to find that out pretty much in about 25 minutes' time. Pace car's about to head off for the final time this season. And, Greg, I'll hand it back over to you here. Rick Greeny leading him on down.
All right, that blue, beautiful Mazda Miata, Rick Greeny, his first win coming up with Morgan Burkhart, the point leader alongside Rice Pudo and Patry. Both of them awfully talented as well. Here we go. Watch for it. Last green flag of the season. It's about to fly. We are green for the final time. Some big moves at the back. Look at that move by Oring, jumping around, picking up a couple of spots. Look at Soto down to the inside. That's inside to Trace Hance. He's trying to make up big ground here, but we're heading into that very tight turn 1. And we're 4 abreast, 5 abreast, down into 1 right now. Oring almost trying to make it 6 abreast. Oh, that's going to be a huge squeeze play. Somehow thus far, it's good. 3 abreast through turn 2. You never see that happening. And right in the middle of that sandwich was Beans Forster. And look at this, Rick Greeny fighting for all he's worth to keep Morgan Burkhart behind him. And Morgan trying to stove it up the inside. He's going to run wide, side by side, the big drag race here. Morgan got a little bit better run, and you can tell he did because Rice Pudo goes, that's my guy. Patry goes, that's my guy. I'm going with him.
It gives him a bump into turn 7 here. This might be enough for Burkhart to clear if he can make it through. So Patry will help his teammate, even though it doesn't look like his teammate this week. Will push him to the lead. Rick Greeny still trying to hold on to second place as Patry fighting hard from the inside to the outside. Now back to the inside for Rick Greeny, and here comes Rice Pudo making a move on his teammate.
Boy, I'll tell you, Rice Pudo just did Rick Greeny a huge favor. I think because Patry had a pretty good move going there and might have been able to do something, but he needed to be able to turn back down, and suddenly Rice Pudo was right there, and that let Rick Greeny at least lock into that second spot. But Morgan Burkhart now out front, and look at the gap he's got already. And that's of great concern. Rick Greeny has got to put his head down here. With that kind of margin at the end of the first lap, he's almost out of tow. Out of drafting range here, and if Morgan gets this clear down into turn 1 without Rick Greeny being a lot closer, that could really be a difficult scenario for the rest of the field. And we've seen Morgan come back when he's had a tough race or a close race in race 1 just makes the adjustments he needs and dominates in the next race. And Rick Greeny's doing everything he can.
And you see them all fanning out in the background as well as everyone's nose to tail. The field a lot closer after lap 1 due to no major incidents heading through the first few corners. So everyone, a lot of drivers still very much in this, but everyone's trying to chase down the 40 of Morgan Burkhardt. You mentioned now through the first sector, Burkhardt's brought the gap over a second. It was 8 tenths heading in, so he's found 2 tenths over the 108 of Rickson Greeny, and he's now potentially going to be under attack from Patry and Rasputin if he doesn't get a move on.
Yeah, he's, and it might not be the worst thing in the world for those guys to catch Rickson Greeny, and then they can work together to try and get after Morgan Burkhardt. Beans Forrester takes a look at Skip Brock, who had a really good start. And we had talked about how in that race, Brock was running laps identical to what Patry and Forrester were doing. He just was too far back to be able to close anything up. So he's got an opportunity now, sitting in that 5th spot. And Soto had worked his way up into that 7th spot and has slipped back into 8th, and he had started in 9th. So he's got work to do here. He's got to figure a way around Trace Hand to get after these guys. Oh, Forrester going to pop to the inside. Aggressive move by Beans early here. Down into turn 12. He hangs on to it. Brock cannot make the counterpunch. And I think Beans said, I've got to go. If I've got any shot at this championship, I've got to get going here. And, Rickson Greeny, I think, just made a mistake. Lost 2 spots. That was he may have a problem.
I think he's got a slowdown, is what it looks like.
Boy,
I'm trying to figure out
through
where, though. I'm taking a look back at the replay, trying to see if it was maybe through here. No, he took that corner pretty well. I'm not sure where he got it. Maybe through turn 13 here, if he cut a little bit. I don't know. I think he might have had an existing one and was trying to see if he can bleed it off. But he is back in 8th place.
Yeah, that's a problem. I thought maybe did he go down a gear too many and lunge the engine, but we didn't see the smoke, and maybe just missed the shift, but that didn't work either. But man, yeah, he is just plummeting here. So big frustration for him, and of course that gives a big margin of a 1.5 seconds now. Burkhardt to Patry and Rice-Puto, and right now Patry and Rice-Puto, and they'd like to get Beans to join them and get that 3-car train working and try and run down the absolutely flying Morgan Burkhardt.
Interesting thing, though, is that actually Patry was just a hair quicker by just about a little bit over 1/10 of a second quicker than Morgan Burkhardt last lap as Burkhardt's flying through. You can see the back end of that car hanging out there trying to make up some time. So there might be a chance for Patry and Rasputin, if they work together, give each other some bump drafts here or there, might have a chance of catching back up to Burkhardt, but they have to work together.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And for Burkhardt, we talked about how he can make these adjustments, and he may have realized at the end of the first race, and again, this is just speculation, that maybe his tires were in a little bit better shape than he thought they were. Oh, and a problem there for Patry. That was just bizarre. And he got just hung out there, and it was like he suddenly lost all of his drive. Having some weird things happening in this race here. That obviously has let Rice-Puto through.
I'm trying to look
what's happening here.
I'm trying to look here because I know that this corner.
Oh, there it is. Could that have been it?
Oh, right here. I think right there.
Is. Yeah.
I know for a lot of times because that corner is so inviting because they pave. That's all concrete on the inside. So you're like, I can take a little bit more. And I think that's what caught out Rickson Greeny. So I think we just saw right there with Patry, that was him just trying to slow down, not give up enough time. But that puts Rice-Puto in 2nd place. And more importantly, Burkhardt has a 3-second gap.
Yeah, well, at this stage, unless these guys behind him pull off some sort of miracle, it looks like Morgan may grab his 3rd consecutive championship and do it with a win. Now, yes, there's 18.5 minutes yet to go, but I can't think of any time in our previous season or so far in this season where Burkhardt, anybody has closed up over a 2-second gap to him. And I said 3rd championship, of course. It'll be the 2nd one. But let me just look how far up the road he is.
Yeah, he's so far up the road, really doesn't have a whole lot of pressure. He knows he's got a fast car underneath him, and I'm sure he could probably do a lot better than what he did in race 1, because obviously in race 1 he was pushing his tires hard, fighting with Rickson Greeny, and that caused him to lose just a little bit of drive boost. I think Skip Brock got a little bit too much corner, and there he's going to jump on the brakes, 1, 2, and will lose 3 spots in total as he gets relegated back to 8th place.
so easy to cut that corner, as you said. It's just so inviting there, and the track limits are catching a few guys out here. Ooh, that's close. That Ricks and Greeny, right in the mix there with Josh Soto, and then Brock. So that is the battle essentially now with Soto moving through. Boy, Soto, that's been a great lap for him. Of course, he's had a number of people that have had to check up for various reasons, and that's going to promote him all the way up into 6th right now. Oh, watch for Rick and Greeny. Whoa. I'm just wondering, does he get aggressive? Was that Beans running wide? Left light.
Actually almost ended up clipping the end of Caleb Patry here. This is coming on the brakes.
Oh, man, that was close.
And kept it on.
That was a heck of a save.
Kept it on the asphalt, the end of it, but man, that's when you really have affectionately called a Code Brown moment.
Yeah,
when you have the back end of the car ahead of you coming up so quickly.
And he did a nice job. I mean, he knew he was going to be, creating a big gap for himself, but he did that as opposed to take somebody out. So that's impressive here. On board now with Hant. Well, look at that. Rick Sagrini sort of threw the dummy to Soto there. Thought he was going to go with Soto. And then, is he going to pull off a double pass here, Rick Sagrini? If he stays put here, he might get it done. He did. What a move by Rick Sagrini going around.
Soto got into Brock. And Brock goes around.
Skip Brock. I'll tell you what, if this guy has any luck, it's bad. It's just unbelievable here. Watch what happened.
Yeah, fighting side by side with Josh Soto, then with Hands. And then right here, everyone's trying to get to that inside lane, and both found each other right there.
Yeah, and I think it's understandable there. Skip thought I've cleared him. It was Soto a little bit maybe late on getting the nose in there, so now Skip has to come through the back again. But here we go, right? Puto, Patry, and Forster. We saw how quickly Bean was able to close up on these guys here, and you know what? That margin actually, did that come down just a little bit?
It did, by about 0.4 of a second.
Yeah.
So this can get spicy here. If
he
keeps putting laps like this, and Burkhardt's not able to pick up the pace, we might see Rasputo catch back up, and that could reel in Patry and even Force. Oh no! As Patry goes sideways, doesn't hold on to it. He's going to go off into the grass.
Yeah, man, that was some serious dirt track in there. I'm stunned that he was able to even save it. That was huge. Watch this. Yeah, this onboard is going to be spectacular. Through 3, now up into 4. Watch this. He ran wide. Just dropped those lefts, didn't he? So easy to do, Finian. You drop those left side tires and just touch that grass and see ya.
And Greg does a great job hanging on to it. Didn't spin out. Kept it going the right direction, though, through the grass. Lost some spots. Is relegated back to 6th place, but the car is still in one piece.
That's the key, isn't it, here at this stage? And now the interesting thing is going to be that Forster had to check up, or he would have been caught up in that. So he's lost a little bit of ground. There you can see it up to Rice-Puto. But Beans has, closed down on Rice-Puto and Patry in their little battle here. So if he can get up there, we'll still see what they're able to do relative to Burkhardt. Now, for Patry at this stage, maybe the upside is he's not in a battle with anybody behind him, and he can just sort of fold the proverbial mirrors down here, put his head down, and get after Burkhardt and see what he can do. But I'll tell you, the thing that we've seen, Finian, with Burkhardt is when he gets these leads, he just gets into this sort of metronomic rhythm, and he never takes too much out of the tires. He just flows the speed, and they can close down on him, but as they get close and they've really used up their tires a bit, Morgan has a bunch of tire left, and he just starts to ease away again. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Still got plenty of time, 13 and a half minutes.
Yeah, still quite a bit of time left. Looking at the times, it looks like Burkhardt was just a hair quicker than Rice-Puto last time through, but gap stayed pretty even at around 2.5, 2.6 seconds between both of them. I'm sure Rice-Puto is hoping that Burkhardt just catches a little bit of grass. I think he hopes that he has a similar incident to what we saw with Patry, and had that back end kind of swing out, and he can lose a little bit of time, and that can allow the 4 to catch back up. But so far, Burkhardt's looking pretty bulletproof. No real mistakes out of the 40 today so far. but I guess knock on wood because he's still got 13 minutes left to make it to the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's being really, really careful there at turn 10, at that apex of 10, because he knows he does not want to be cutting that too closely. I think he's really on the cusp of that second curb, the apex curb in turn 6 on that quick left-right flick onto the back straight. He really gets inside of that second curb, but apparently he's got a pretty good idea of where the sort of GPS that iRacing uses to determine the center of the car is, because he keeps getting away with it. And so we hop on board with Rick Segrini in that fourth spot, putting down some nice laps, but he's just 3 seconds adrift to Forster right now.
Yeah, I was going to say that those penalties, and actually it's kind of surprising. I'm not sure if we just happened to miss a lot of it in race number 1, but race 2, quite a few penalties from guys just cutting it a little bit too close and a little bit too aggressively in some of the corners, and they're getting these time penalties for cutting the course. So this really put the 108 of Rick Segrini back, and the same thing too with Rice Puto.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? On that last lap, though, Rice Puto picked up another 0.2 on Burkhardt. So he continually is running just a smidge quicker. But as I said, just what kind of load is he taking out of those tires here, you know?
Yeah, it's the big thing, too. I mean, again, you really don't think about tire wear when it comes to these monsters, but at the end of a 25-minute race, when these guys are pushing really hard, they are going to wear out quite a bit, and you pointed out earlier, too, that at this particular track, it's going to be a little bit worse than what some of these guys might anticipate with some of these corners. You see the Ford jump over the curb in turn 7, just trying to give it everything he's got here.
He has nothing to lose, does he? Just get going right now. He's maintained that margin about 3 seconds back to Forster. Then you got Rick Segrini. Then this great battle for the final spot in the top 5. They're putting on a show.
Yeah, some action heading off into turn 7. There's Kilpatrick making a move on Trace Hans.
Hans just not going quietly. Tried to stay around the outside, but got a little bit wide, and that looks like he just let Soto slide through as well, didn't it?
Yeah, so he's going to lose 2 spots. Ooh, tries to charge back here as we come back to the live shot in turn 12. Try to throw it back up the inside on the 77, but couldn't quite get there. Bud might have a chance at some really good toe on the front straightaway here.
Yeah, he got through there fairly quickly, didn't he? You know, even with that aggressive move. And now the question is, does he get enough of a run here? He should, right behind on Soto with this stage. This is a long, long, long straight here. See what he's going to be able to do. He's not closing up as quickly as I thought he might, though.
No, I don't think. I think that might be from Soto getting just a little bit off of Patry up ahead.
Yeah,
that could be my only guess.
No, that makes total sense. Yep. Yeah, because Soto was you're right, just getting a little bit off Patry, but it wasn't enough. He wasn't close enough to Patry for Hans to get a double toe. So I bet that's exactly what it was, Finian.
Yeah, speaking of Patry, looking to see if he can try to, if he's going to try to see if he can catch back up to Rick Segrini as they're flirting with the curbs there through the chicane. Rick Segrini just about a second up the road in 4th place on his recovery back from a penalty earlier on in the race.
Yeah, and look at the timing board, folks. Burkhardt doing what we've seen him do. Right, Fundo gets it down to underneath 2.5 seconds. 2-3 laps in a row, he's a little bit quicker, and Burkhardt just uncorked a 148.8, and which was 0.3 quicker than Rice Puto, and boom, that margin's up to 3 seconds again.
And you can see there, this is how much the gap is visually from a standpoint in turn 12. There's Burkhardt going by, another 3 seconds. There's Rice Puto, and then another 3 seconds being Forster. Then Rick Segrini, Patry Soto, Hansel in the top 7.
Hey, can you go back, Finian, and show us that run through that corner once again, up through the exit of 11? Because I think one of the places that we're seeing Burkhardt make up a little bit of time is he's running some shorter lines out there, and it's working for him. Go back just a little bit more, yeah, and get that head-on shot now that we had. And watch as he comes out here. Look at the angle he takes. He drives straight to the wall. Now look at behind him, how much farther he runs out. And Forster, you see that, and in that corner, they're running a bit more real estate. I don't think it's giving them any more speed, and it might even help Morgan preload that left side as he gets on the brakes, because he's still sort of turning just a little bit. And I think that's where he's finding these little bits of time.
Yeah, well, whatever he's doing, it's definitely helping him out. He's been slowly expanding that gap, but you can argue he definitely doesn't need to at this point, but he is slowly expanding that gap out. It got down to around 2.5 seconds at its lowest, and now it's 3.3, 3.4 seconds as he comes flying through turn 7.
And I really think that's because when he gets these leads, then he just kind of goes into this, gets this rhythm going where he doesn't take a lot out of the tires. And obviously the guys behind him push, push, push. And this track is tough on tires. And suddenly they find themselves just losing grip. And Morgan's, it's not that he's getting, his tires are getting better, obviously. That's not going to happen. But his are not getting worse at the rate that those other guys are. So relative to them later in the races, suddenly he's just got a quicker car.
He kind of scared me there heading through turn 12.
Yeah.
It almost looked like he was going to drive into the wall. He got so close.
Yeah, and that's that line he's using. Instead of swinging up and then driving along the wall for a bit, he just comes out and goes straight toward the wall. But that cuts about, I don't know how many feet it would be, but that's just a little bit less distance he has to traverse, and suddenly he gets that little chunk of time in there. As we look back now from Rick Segrini to Patry and Soto, and I'll tell you what, these guys, you take a look at it here. Rick Segrini, Patry, Soto, and Hans are, Hans a little bit farther back, but the other guy's covered by that proverbial blanket here. And this is that battle, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, nose to tail here, one of the closest battles on the track. I'm sure Rick Segrini would have liked to have a little bit of an easier drive towards the finish because I don't think he's really got much of a chance of catching Forrester unless he makes a mistake at this point. But now he's got not only Caleb Patry hounding up in his rearview mirror, he's also got Joshua Soto in behind, and Soto's been slowly working his way up. Started in 9th, is up to 6th, and I'm sure the 77 is far from done yet.
I would think so. And man, I just watched Soto run over that second curb in that left-right flick, and he was so far inside, so it almost looks like iRacing's letting them pretty much go in that corner, straightening that out big time here, and closing up again a bit on the back of Caleb Patry. And you can see the blue car right there is Jordan Rick Segrini. That's 4th. You ride on board with Soto in 5th. They've been able to gap now Hans just a little bit, haven't they?
Yeah, Hans is starting to lose just a little bit of touch. I think if one of these other guys gets to slow down, he might see them jumble back up together again. He's just kind of hanging off the tail end, and Rick Segrini now, I can imagine, for these last 5 minutes, is going to be completely looking at his rearview mirror.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what to do. And, it's one of those deals. He was up in that battle again for that, the lead. He had to win in the first race, and then had his little moment there, and now it's just kind of out of that picture at this stage. But still, you don't give up because, a mistake by Burkhardt, Rice, Puto, or Forrester, and suddenly this battle for 4th becomes a battle for the podium.
Yeah, especially again with all the with all the track limit penalties we've seen so far in this race. There's been Beans Forrester up the road as Caleb Patry take a little bit of a helping of curb into turn 1. But if any of the guys up ahead, if they just cut it just a little bit too far, might end up getting a penalty because some of these corners are so inviting.
Oh, absolutely. And Soto ran a little bit wide there. Now watch this. Let's see if Soto's going to do it again.
Yeah, wow.
So far over there. His left side tires are clearly well inside of that white line on the curb edge. But again, he must have a pretty good feel for where that center line is and what iRacing's going to let him get away with. But boy, he straightens that out so much. He just really gloms onto the back of Rick Segrini there. Of Patry.
Yeah, and actually one thing that's nice is that with iRacing, they've been a little bit more clear in the more recent years with some of these newer tracks. So this renovated version of Indianapolis Motor Speedway that we got, I think, a year or two ago now, they actually define the actual track limits in some of those corners, especially in the chicane. So if you know exactly where you can place your car and you feel comfortable with it, you can be as aggressive as you want to see Patrick just kiss the wall in turn 12.
Yeah, man, trying to open those angles up as much as you can here as he comes on the hammer here. He's 4th in points and just not that far back behind Rice Puto. So, he's trying to do anything he can, just hoping that something happens up front. And based on what we're running for lap times, I think we've got 2 laps to go at this point.
That's what it's looking like. And also one thing I want to point out, too, is that Rick Segurini's been pretty quick in comparison to Beans Forrester. Almost, I think, a second and a half that he made up last lap alone. So this number 23, if he doesn't pick up the pace, he's going to have a mirror full of 3 cars allowed to pass him for that final step on the podium.
Boy, that's a good point. Yeah, Beans, that last lap, ran a 151. Everybody else is in the 49s. So I don't know whether he ran wide, had a little mistake here. But, yeah, good catch. Yeah, they are definitely closing him down, aren't they?
Working their way through the chicane. See Soto in the background, a little bit more conservative of a line as they come on through. But Rick Segrini is just on the cusp of catching the toe from Forrester here. And these guys are going to be facing the white flag, including our race leader, Morgan Burkhardt, who's now expanded the lead to 4 seconds.
Yeah, he's just got so much tire left at this stage relative to everybody else. Here comes Beans, and he's looking in that mirror and he's seeing that blue car, Rick Segrini, getting bigger and doing it in a hurry here. And I don't know whether did Beans just use up his tires and he just doesn't have any speed, or was it just a little mistake that brought him back in? But the problem for him is, by the time they get to the front straight, Rick Segrini, if he can stay where he is right now, he's going to get a tow. Ooh, Jordan ran a little wide there, and I think Patry had a little bit of a target fixation, ran even a little bit wider, but was able to hang on to it.
Yeah, now he's got a mirror full of Joshua Soto here as all these cars, including Morgan Burkhardt, come to collect the white flag. Final lap for the number 40 in this race, in this round, and in this season. He's got over a 4-second gap there. You see Nicholas Rasputo in the background trying to chase him down from second place. Beans Forrester in third, and then Jordan Rick Segrini. And yeah, that run out of the final corner really killed him. But here comes Soto versus Caleb Patry for 5th place.
Yeah, Patry defended, and Soto. Oh! Soto decided, all right, I'm going to go around the outside. Got it done. Thought about diving down under Rick Segrini as well right here, and then went, nope, that's going to be a takeout, and had to just jump on the brakes. That straightened him out a little bit, cost him a lot of time. So now Rick Segrini and Patry, they are clear enough from Soto, but look at Rick Segrini doing everything he can. But now he's only got a half a lap. He's going to have to pull something big out of his back pocket to make this work on Beans for the podium.
Yeah, he's got to absolutely send it. I mean, it is called a full send sim series, so it might have to do something like that in this last half a lap here as they work through the final series of corners. But 12 seconds up the road, Morgan Burkhardt here is working into the final series of corners.
Here he comes, and you make a good point. It's full send sims. And they say practice makes podium, but in this case, full send, it might make podium. We'll have to see what happens. But Morgan Burkhardt, the kid, as they call him, was having a pretty good season in real-world racing as well. Is on his way, one more turn, and he is going to win a 2nd consecutive championship and do it with another win. Morgan Burkhardt going to repeat as champion here in Season 2 of the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship. Nice run to 2nd in the race by Rasputo. And Forrester, with that 3rd place finish, is going to do just enough, I think, to keep himself up into 2nd in the points. And then that battle with Rick Segrini and Patry coming through, and then Soto there in 6th. And Trace Hance coming through in that 7th spot. The 172 of Court Schmidt should be 8th. Friedhofer at 9th, and Oliveira completing your top 10, and Morgan Burkhardt. You know what? You win a championship, it's definitely time for some pastries.
Just like lighting them up. I mean, you don't need the tires anymore for the rest of the season, so might as well burn them up in celebration here as he's having a blast.
And look at that! And look at that pattern. He just did the Audi 4 rings or the Olympic 5 rings out there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
go back and watch those marks here. Look at that.
You can see it.
Background there. Brilliant.
As he works on his artwork here, we're going to go over your race results here. And again, Morgan Burkhardt taking home the win for not only this race number 2, but the championship as well. Rasputo, Beans Forrester, Jordan Rick Segrini couldn't quite chase him down after having some penalties and mishaps along their way. You can also throw Caleb Patry onto that list, rounding out your top 5. Joshua Soto, Trace Hance, near the end of that great battle we saw across the entire top 7. Court Schmidt, Jim Freidhofer, and Jason Oliveris rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, just a great job, Stephen Cantarze in the 11th spot. Skip Rock Jr. again, from no luck to just bad luck for him. Caleb Pocock had a great run in that first race, struggled in the second one. Ethan Oring out as well. Max Bankin struggling. But wow, up at the sharp end of things. A fabulously entertaining and hugely tense first race. And then Burkhardt, I talked about it, Finian. He makes that adjustment in that second race sometimes. And if he gets to the front early in the second race, he's virtually untouchable. And that is exactly how it played out today. But wow, what a season he's put together, and what a season we've had. I mean, the racing has been absolutely spectacular. And every once in a while, when you get, the battle up front is a little bit off, we've had great racing for podium spots and top fives. These drivers, they just don't give it up.
Yeah, and these guys, no matter, like, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, that these guys, no matter where in the field, whether it's for the lead or way down the order, they always manage to somehow put on a show and a fantastic race, and that's really, really the best part about this series. There's always a race going on, battle for position, and every single time, too. It's only a 25-minute sprint race, but these guys are pushing every single lap, every single second.
They are. They absolutely are. And, part of it is it's just fun, isn't it? And, the one thing we've learned, particularly with this season, when they took a little bit of weight off in terms of the virtual setup on these cars, they become so much more responsive. And, you can really hustle them, throw them around a little bit more, not run the tires off quite as quick. And the racing has responded with some absolutely great stuff. But Morgan Burkhardt heading into the pit, punching the out button. And as we said, look at that beautiful view of the downtown skyline of Indianapolis. And the Brickyard Crossings golf course, the 4 holes inside the track. And we're wrapping it up. That's the season done. And looking forward to hearing from some of our drivers in this one. I hope we get a chance to chat with Jordan, too, because he had that breakthrough win in that first race. It'd be fun to hear from him as well. So we'll see who we got, right?
Let's start off with Jordan Rexaggreen. We'll bring him in right here.
Hey, Jordan, what an absolutely stellar drive in that first race, man. Your progress this year has been just superb. Just been enjoying watching it. Every race I can see quicker and quicker and quicker. The racecraft is improving. And in the final weekend of this season, you pull out a big win, man. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's definitely been a fun season, a long one. Big thank you to Court, everybody at Full Send, you guys in the broadcast booth, everybody that puts this on. It's been a long season, and glad to end it on a high note like that.
Yeah, man, you absolutely did. What do you think of this track? Do you enjoy racing here in Indy?
Yes, I absolutely do. I've never driven here in person, but on the sim, I actually really love it and want to go there one day.
Yeah, people look at it sometimes and they go, and it's like, yeah, but you got to race it, man. And it really actually it promotes good racing, and we certainly saw that today. And man, I'm so proud of you. One heck of a job in that first race, and just hanging in there and scrapping with Caleb, and almost closing down on Beans in that second one. Really well done, man. A win and a fourth. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Oh, hey, are we going to see you next season?
I believe so. I'll be back. It's been fun.
All right. Are we going to see you this next Monday night for the awards banquet online?
I believe I'll be making that too.
I love to hear it, my friend. Well done. Well done.
All right.
Indeed.
See you there. Thank you.
All right.
All right, and then I guess so after Jordan Rexaggreen, let's talk to, no, not Morgan Burkhardt, and Morgan will wait. I think I accidentally grabbed him instead. I was looking for Beans Forrester. There he is.
Hey.
Hey, Beans, how you doing, man? Interesting couple of races for you there. You seem to have some speed. Just couldn't quite get up there and duel for the wins, but a nice podium here in this second one.
Yeah, these tracks where it's just long sweeping corners with very, very little heavy braking zones, I'm just not good at. those little tiny bits of speed um, that need to be carried through these really long corners. It's something I need to work on.
Do you think that you over slow on the entry a little bit?
Yeah, I think I'm still trying to figure out the optimal braking point for the car in terms of being outside of the ABS and trailing it off into the corner, like because the car doesn't really rotate too much. Where if it's the Global MX-5 Cup car, like I can rotate that on the corner entry fairly confidently
Right.
and be extremely competitive in that compared to being here.
Well, hey, it's always about the adjustment, isn't it? And you're certainly going to get it. I'm terrible at math, but I think these finishes here today have you still in second place in the championship. So all a great season.
Yes.
Finishing up in the top 3 in the points, man.
That's the first thing I did as soon as I jumped out of the car. As I went to look at the points, and I got up by 10.
Nice. Well done. Well done. And it's just fun to watch you race, fun to call you racing. And obviously, I know you do a lot of work with Court as part of the Full Send Sims program. So a huge thank you to both of you guys for everything you've done for this series.
Oh yeah, no worries. We love doing it. It's great to have something like this on iRacing. Very different from everything else that I've ever raced on here, and it's so much fun.
I'm so glad to hear it. I presume we will have you joining us next Monday night for the award ceremonies.
Absolutely.
Great, my friend. Look forward to it. And again, thanks for just always putting your complete heart into it and just putting in some great racing, man.
Yeah, same for you guys. Thanks for the awesome commentary you guys do throughout the entire season. It's just so fluid and it feels so natural listening to it. It's one of my favorite leagues to actually listen to.
Hey, man, that means the world coming from you. So, and we love doing it. You know that, bud. So
absolutely.
We'll keep it up and we'll be talking to you Monday.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thank you.
All right.
All right, let's talk to Nicholas Resputo. Got him in the channel.
All right. Hey, Nicholas. We're good, man. We just got to watch you guys race, but tell you what, you must be feeling great. That was obviously Morgan got away from you there, but you just had some serious speed and were able to open up a pretty sizable margin over everybody else as well. I think you had some 6 seconds over the guys back in third. Tell us a little bit about the race here and it was a battle right at the start, obviously.
Yeah, going into this race, I was just trying to stay clean because I'm in a good position in the points, or I was going in. So I was just trying to keep my nose clean. If I could finish in the top 5 both races, that was it for me. So I was just kind of sitting back.
Well, and hey, sometimes you got to play the long game, right? And look at the big picture. And from what we understand, again, I've been talking about. I'm not great at math, but I believe you have locked in third in the championship, man. So that is a big achievement, obviously, in this league.
Yes, I'm super happy about that. It's been a lot of fun.
Good deal. I certainly hope we see you back for season 3, and certainly hope you're going to be joining us on Monday night for the awards ceremonies.
I will be there, and I will be there for the seasons to come. This has been a lot.
We love to hear it. Yeah, well, and a lot of that's down to you, man. You have made this just a pleasure to call and just a joy to watch too. So thanks for all of your efforts.
Of course, thanks for commentating.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Our pleasure. Thanks, bud.
All right, see you guys.
All right, and last but certainly not least, I grabbed him in a little bit earlier by accident, but now we can finally talk to Mr. Morgan Burkhart.
Well, Morgan, by our reckoning here, obviously you are champion once again. So you defended the championship. I'll tell you, that first race, Jordan Ricciagridi was showing some really, really solid speed, and you gave it one heck of a go, obviously. I had mentioned that every once in a while we see you make an adjustment in something going into the second race, and if you get to the front, you can kind of open it up, and you did exactly that Was there something you learned in race one that really gave you the opportunity to check out 2 here?
Well, to be completely honest, I learned how to drive better with one hand. I all of tonight I have been with driving just in my left hand. I injured my finger on my right hand, so it's
Oh,
kind
my
of
goodness.
unusable. But it's okay. I'm gonna live, just barely. But
Yeah.
so I learned how to kind of better drive with it and change hand positions while shifting and doing all this other stuff. But I knew that Jordan and I were pretty equal on pace, and that if I
Yeah.
could pass him in the first part of the second race, like on the first lap, and get somebody else to follow me through, and then get them to go side by side, that I could get 8-9 tenths of a second of a gap, and that's exactly what I got, which I was pretty lucky to do. And then once you get that gap with two really equal paced guys, the draft doesn't go back that far. It's going to make the guy behind push that much harder. And when you start to push harder, especially at this track with the off tracks and the slowdowns, you're so much more likely to just step a little bit over the bounds and get a slowdown, and then they just start shuffling back, and then all of a sudden you have 2.5 second lead, and then you can kind of just coast. So I was pretty lucky to get that, but that was pretty much the plan from the get-go.
So obviously the right hand worked for shifting, just not for grabbing a steering wheel, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. I have.
Yeah.
I don't have an H pattern, so I have paddles. So I would kind of, every time I needed an upshift, I'd just slap it with the palm of my hand.
Oh man, so yeah, you were doing some serious adjusting. Hey, I'm curious, what prompted the change of livery in the car?
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about that. Myself, Nathan Nicholson, and Giancarlo Schooler have started our own team with Parallel Racing Group as of about a week and a half ago or something like that. So we're starting to get that off the ground. I actually finished this paint job at about 4 o'clock today, so super excited about the debut of our new team.
Well, it looks great. It explains the PRG on the side of the car there. That's very cool. And hey, you gave it a debut ride right to a championship and did it the way every champion wants to do it, with a win in your final race. Congratulations. You're a double champion, dude.
I appreciate that. I really kind of like the sound of that. I could get used to it.
I bet you do. Well, I assume we'll be chatting with you Monday night when we do the awards.
I think so, yeah. Good man.
Well, thanks so much as always, Morgan. Obviously, just an absolutely stellar driver, and with giving us the qualifying talk-throughs on laps and everything. We just appreciate everything you do for this series, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys making us all look pretty good and putting on a really seamless stream as well. So,
yeah, we sure have fun with it, man. All right, we'll see you Monday night.
See ya.
All right, Finian. Well, what do you think, man? What a great way to wrap up a championship.
Yeah, indeed, what a great way to wrap up a championship. Some fantastic battling all night long, and Morgan Burkhardt in the very last race of the season, taking on the checkered flag, definitely earned it, fought hard, and everyone else fought really hard too. I'm going to miss the series a little bit, but I'll actually see if I do need to fill in any times for Season 3 coming up in a couple months. If I need to fill in for Kyle, I'll be more than glad to, because this is some fantastic stuff to watch.
It is, man. I mean, these guys really put on some fabulous racing, and you are part, I know, of Sim TV. You're not just a talent announcer out here, and you're part of that whole program. So we know that you're involved a lot on the backside of things as well, and we sure appreciate it. And when Kyle can't make it, you do an absolutely great job filling in. So appreciate that. Before we wrap up, one last thing. Just want to remind everybody, first of all, a huge thank you to Court Schmidt and Olsen Sims for having the vision for this championship, and then carrying it through and making it as absolutely spectacular as it is. 3P Logistics and owner Frank Rodriguez for all of their support as a presenting sponsor. Same deal for Final Turn Motorsports and Rob Greenwood. Really appreciate that as well. Last couple of things real quick. Season 3 announcements. As we said, it's going to add 2 more race nights. So it's going to be a 10-week season. So the off season will be just a little bit shorter. And hey, off seasons are to be minimized as far as we're concerned, right? The plan for season 3 is to mirror the SCCA regional and national schedule track whenever possible. And that means that you've got an opportunity, if you're going to be racing at one of those SCCA events the previous Monday night, you'll be able to actually race at that track. That first race of the season will start on August 14th, and it's my understanding that for season 3, with adding 2 races, we will be adding a 2-drop option as well to keep a few more people in the championship. And one more time, Monday night, July 3rd, normal show start time 7 p.m. It is our awards ceremony, and it will be all done. Be able to zoom in to receive their awards, from trophies to hardware to specialty awards, and it'll all be broadcast as well. So it allows for us a little more time to truly celebrate all of these incredibly worthy recipients, and of course the season just completed. With that, I'm going to wrap things up here. Finian, once again, man, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be with this championship and cover the 2 rounds that I needed to fill in for. Some great stuff from these guys here. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. So for Finian and, of course, for Kyle Heyer, I'm Greg Creamer. Thank you so much for joining us. We're not quite done yet. We've got another event Monday night, the award ceremony. We do hope you all join in, tune in, and become a part of that as well. So we'll see you next Monday night. And until then, take care, everybody.